Vacante, VP of Solutions Innovation at Dentsu. My role is all about creating new products, productized services, and helping some of the world's most beloved and innovative brands step into the future.
Great introduction, Val. So, hi everyone, I'm Phil Sage. I lead the design innovation function in North America for foods, for Pepsico. And we're there to curate the future portfolios, evolve them to consumer trends, and essentially represent them in their best effect in the world.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Daly. I'm at Meta. I'm a director in the head of agency, and my team essentially works with agencies to help them get the best outcomes on our platform. And if you don't know who Meta is, our company's mission is to build the future of human connection and the technology that makes it possible.
I am Marco Carvalho. I'm the founder of Headoffice.ai. We are developing the future of agents and how they help brands to build relationships. I've been in AI for over 15 years. I helped some of the most famous brands like Batman, Avengers, and a few others to translate into AI. And I've been also in XR developing augmented reality, virtual reality for over 10 years too. So all of it is coming together now on this panel, I guess.
Exciting group and an exciting conversation. So we're going to go through a couple of trends first. Then we'll dive into real-world examples. I think everybody here on this panel, we're all kind of creators and makers, not just talkers, but doers. So really want to show some real-world examples out there. And then we'll talk about kind of what we do to collaborate, to accelerate, and then talk a little about the future. So that's what we got today. Cool. So probably no surprise to this group, right? Meet your new customers in 2035. So we're going to have this sort of lens as we dive in. So the first trend we're going to talk about is the M2M revolution. So machine-to-machine revolution. A couple of numbers here. AI amplified assistants. Again, AI everywhere. We know over the past year, you probably haven't read anything without AI in it somewhere. And we're going to continue seeing more of that in the future, right? So we have 7 in 10 people will be using AI in different aspects of their life. 49% we say cloning you. So they will actually be using clones, AI clones of themselves to deal with daily tasks. Again, some of that's happening today, but we'll start to see evolve it in a big way. And then connected experiences have evolved for years, but as we're going to see it in the near future, is really people having those predictive experiences happening. So having things automatically delivered to their door, or different products and services.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really exciting space and one that everyone in this room should be focused on. Our belief is that in the same way that every business has an email address and a social presence and a website, every business ultimately is going to have an agent that works on their behalf and then ultimately interacts with and communicates with and does business with the agents of individuals and consumers. And just to give a tangible example, this past week I was trying to book our family's upcoming vacation. We're probably going to go to the US Virgin Islands. And so I had a conversation with Meta AI about like the pros and cons of why this might not be good for our family or why it would be good for us. And then I spent about 20 minutes basically booking the flight. And if I had an agent who understood my preferences, knew exactly sort of the parameters of our trip, that would have saved me 20 minutes. It would have given me hopefully the chance to approve whatever decision it made. But I think this is going to be commonplace where, again, agents from a business side are communicating or interacting with personal agents. And so this is really going to evolve the meaning of like, what does a brand mean in a world like this? If you're communicating and having to influence an agent rather than a person, what are the things that are going to be required? And so, again, this is a very exciting place. And I think, again, you're going to have big brands using agents, but also small mom and pops. And so there's going to be a huge ecosystem of companies built up to support it.
That's a great point about all business cycles. Second trend here we'll dive into is customized reality. And just a nice note here, in intuitive, not intrusive. So like Jason talked about, people want those personalized experiences, but they don't want them to be annoying. They want them to really complement and assist whatever task they're doing. And another one, kind of knowing them before they know themselves. So we're seeing 77% are really looking for that predictive personalization. So how can we anticipate those needs of new products and services? Also, 80% of people really want to be surprised and delighted in those moments. So that might be, hey, there's a surprise offer, or we know that Jason's looking at the Virgin Islands, is there, maybe he gets a little random act of kindness in his hotel via an agent. And then new interfaces augmenting our world. Of course, we have Jason from Meta here, and they've been doing that in multiple ways. But here we're seeing 57% are looking for those sort of augmented experiences with classes. So Phil, I know you've done a ton in this area, so.
Yeah, no, I think that this trend is not going to go away. It's just going to evolve and be even more refined, right? So, and I think we can all look back to, Eric Schmidt's comments back in 2010, where at IFA Berlin he was talking about augmented humanity, right? So, and then how that transcends through the maturity of technology and through the devices that Jason's wearing today. And I was at the CES back in January as well, doing my sweeps, and having taken a break from CES, just the abundance of refinement in terms of the wearable market is just, it's amplified, right? And it's refined. The other part of it is that we all know of companies who are, Mojo Vision, building kind of contact lenses with smart capabilities and so forth. But I think, all of that melting pot is really starting to kind of, begin to drive down check costs and affordability and barriers, and the capabilities are now there. I think back to Schmidt's kind of examples, and what he talked of is we are antennas for information, and we are then choosing to deflect or receive this information according to our preference, and that leads us into personalized content and personalized curation of our environment. So I think that's a super compelling area in space, and certainly something that we should all be pushing boundaries in and certainly aware of.
The next trend we're going to talk about, and I've already kind of touched on, is really beyond those human alliances and really the evolution of the agent. So we're seeing those omnilingual tech experiences, right? So 77% are interested in speaking or having experiences in their language of choice. Humans empathizing with their digital counterparts. So we talked about that notion of having your sort of AI clone. What we're seeing here is that 56% of people by the year 2035 are really looking for those type of rewarding relationships. And so Marco, with what you're doing right now, we'd love to hear your point of view.
So we've been focused on building AI-human relationships for pretty much 15 years. And we see that the key part is empathy, right? Because imagine when we started operating machines, we had to learn and study the manuals, learn how to interact with that machine. And it was, we had to do all the effort. And now, when we teach machines to be empathetic, to understand their counterpart, we are making the machine understand and anticipate what you need. So you don't need to learn how to use AI. AI will learn how to teach you how to use, how to get you where you want. And that's what we say, it's the empathy from the machine. And when we see that machines understand us and understand us in a deep level, we start to care for that machine as well. And we saw that happen, and funny enough, our first AI toy robot that you could talk, it was also named Spock, which is and it was very interesting because we could see early on how Generation Z would interact with machines and what they expected from this. And we grew, and we did with Batman, and then with the Avengers, and we saw that even with small vocabulary, and because at that time AI wasn't this robust, we could build relationships. And we understood that that will be the key moving forward, because relationship is your AIs and your devices understanding your needs and bringing that to you. And you value that automatically, right?
Can I add a quick example? Just because in this example where I was trying to research the U.S. Virgin Islands, I had a conversation with Meta AI. My wife wasn't there, and so when I brought it back and she was in the room, I was like, "Can you recap our conversation?" And the first thing my wife asked was, "Well, do I need?" And before she could finish the sentence, the AI said, "Do you need a passport to go to the U.S. Virgin Islands?" And so it's just a matter like the anticipation of what you need. And then the second thing is, I think in the last week I've had conversations with 3 or 4 people who have basically are just talking to AI like on a daily basis in their car, and this is something that wasn't happening before.
So people may find it weird, I'm not going to have a relationship with an AI, but we're already having one, so every app on your phone.
Well, now we're going to dive into some real-world examples. Jason,
Yeah, so this is, I want to give just sort of an overview of what we presented at Connect last year. And at Connect last year, we basically highlighted our vision for the future of connection, which we believe is going to be one that is more immersive, that's deeper, where consumers are feel like you're in the presence of one another, both with an individual and or a business. We feel like this next story or this next chapter in the story of connection is again one where we feel like we're all together. And I think the two underpinning points of this are going to be AI, which is at the foundation of everything that we do, and then the metaverse, which is what we believe the next spatial computing platform. And so this quick video just highlights sort of all the things that we announced in a very short TLDR.
We can start to see how the future of computing and the future of human connection are going to look. Let's jump right in. This is the new Meta Quest 3S. High quality mixed reality for $299. Hell yeah. So Meta AI is on track to being the most used AI assistant in the world by the end of this year.
Live demos can be risky, yes. They can be unpredictable and potentially embarrassing.
Thanks, Aquafina.
You have the power to create your own opportunities by combining curiosity, adaptability, and resilience in a rapidly evolving digital world.
This is our first open source multimodal model, and it's going to enable a lot of interesting applications that require visual understanding. People love their Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Glasses are a very natural computing platform, right? They're great for taking photos and videos. So we are adding the ability for the glasses to help you remember things. No more forgetting where you parked. This is Orion, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen. With Orion, we are getting closer to achieving the dream of Reality Labs, to create the next major computing platform that delivers a deep sense of presence like you were right there with another person. Thank you for being on this journey with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day at Connect. Thank you.
And then the next sort of example we'll talk about is intelligent messaging. And I'm really excited to share this work with you all because we have examples of our collaboration with everybody on stage here. So intelligent messaging is all about accelerating those one-to-one conversational experiences and doing it through AI amplified assistance, but of course human connection. So we'll dive into a quick video here.
Dentsu brings together a full suite of solutions designed to accelerate one-to-one customer experiences with conversational messaging, AI-amplified assistance, and human connection. How are brands accelerating one-to-one conversational experiences? With intelligent messaging, go from campaigns to conversations, extend media to CRM, launch AI-powered conversations through almost any media imaginable. QR codes, in-store signage, event activations, websites, traditional media, and more. Plus, with multi-language features, extend your reach and connect in your language of choice. Provide personalized AI-powered product education, product recommendations, and promotions tailored to customers' unique tastes and choices. Gather customer insights and qualify leads through AI-powered conversations. Leverage your brand's personality and existing content in a one-to-one way. Stay connected with product announcements, tips and tricks, how-tos, loyalty rewards, and shoppable moments. Amplify assistance with AI-powered conversations and our human-powered team 24/7. Increase sales, customer satisfaction, and lifetime value from discovery to loyalty. Innovative brands, schedule a demo today.
Overview, and I'll dive into two sort of cases briefly here, just two different scenarios. So this one is Galderma's acne care brand Different, and we really call this case a connected concierge. So really those personalized promotions and product selection. The reason we created this experience is there's over 50 million Americans who suffer from acne every year. 85% of people between the ages of 12 and 24 are suffering from acne of sorts. And then 90% of people in the same group are gamers. I say all of that because, when an acne sufferer goes into a store, and I don't know if you guys have walked down the acne care aisle in the store, it is super overwhelming. There's bright boxes, there's colors, there's all these jazzy words, like, where do you even start? And so we wanted to alleviate that really from on shelf. And so in this case, this is an exploration of kind of scanning that QR code, from the shelf, being able to ask like, hey, can you tell me about cleansers? Or what's up with these patches, right? And have a personalized experience, with you on the shelf or on the go anywhere really. Now, where it gets really exciting is we've created a multimodal experience with our latest Level Up campaign, which is focused for gamers. And what happens is if you actually buy the product, you can scan your receipt, go to treatacne.com, scan your receipt, and then you're actually rewarded with free power-ups in select Roblox games. So really trying to alleviate that overwhelm for acne sufferers, provide a super simple experience, and then reward them in games that they know and love. And then the next one, I think, does everybody know Chester Cheetah? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So for this next case here, we're really focused on personality to personalization. For those of you probably who grew up in the 90s, it was always, it's not easy being cheesy. Chester had a voice, a personality, still has a personality for sure. And so we really wanted to bring Chester to life. But doing that in a way that's leveraging the brand's public, brand-approved content and serving it up in a one-to-one way. So here's kind of breaking that down a little bit. On the far left there, that's the existing web content. You guys can go to Cheetos.com and you'll see that same content right now. And a lot of brands invest a lot in content. So what we did is we said, how can we leverage that existing content and serve it up in a one-to-one useful way? Not only having Chester's mischievous personality to it, but making it very helpful and useful. So you can ask Chester, I know it's quite small on the screen there, but you can ask Chester, hey, can you tell me about recipes I can make with Cheetos? And there are some great recipes. Fiery hot fried chicken. But anyway, it'll serve up those recipes on the spot. You get a little snippet of an image, and it goes directly to that content on the website. Also things like where to buy, or different offers. We can also push messages. So for those limited time offer experiences, kind of encouraging people to participate.
I think what's great about these examples too is that you're basically meeting the customer where they are.
Yeah.
You know, this idea of the sort of fluid consumer journey sort of just being linear doesn't exist anymore. And so you've created new and unique ways to engage them in a way that sort of feels natural for ways that they want to.
Yeah, I think it amplifies that authenticity, right? So that deeper connection between brand and consumer, right? And that's what, you know, companies like ourselves strive for, right? That really authentic conversation between two parties. And if it's done and curated and it feels, it comes across as very personalized, as a deep and meaningful connection to you, then that's even better. I think that's what the value of the platform is, right? And I think, you know, a build on, you know, what you were saying here, Val, is that you can almost see this as the beginning, right? So on the left-hand side, you see this curated conversation that's happening. And that's landed on the smart devices in our pockets, the supercomputers that they are, right? But that does unlock, as a designer, it does unlock lots of capabilities, right? It allows us to start to think about what the threads could be towards other services and other curated experiences. And we're here to talk about immersive experiences, right? And some of them immersive experiences don't necessarily need to be too complex, right? So how many people here have ordered DoorDash or Grubhub? Probably the entire food market.
See all the hands coming up.
Don't be shy. Right? But the reason I ask this is that, you know, if anybody has tracked that little kind of car that's kind of on its way to deliver the goods to you, that's an immersive experience, right? That's drawing you into what I believe is a sticky digital experience and immersive experience. Now, if you go to the next slide, what I wanted to emphasize today is that on one end, if you've got curated content, on the other end, thinking end-to-end, thinking the value chain, you can create some really interesting and compelling brand experiences on that latter foot. So if you go to the next slide, so what I'm sharing today is a pilot that we did recently over Super Bowl. So it is intended to be an individual test and learn pilot out of the Frisco Nest that exists up in near Dallas, Texas. If you go to the next slide, what you'll see in the video is basically, you know, what the experience is, right? So you've gone through the motions, and now you've selected what you wanted to bring to the home. The average delivery time is under 5 minutes, and that fast speed reaction to that curated kind of demand moment is pretty spectacular and pretty amazing. So there's lots to learn from this, right? And how you're connecting these experiences together. If you go to the next slide, you will see a little bit of the UX, UI that was generated. So this is kind of pre-show or pre-event. Again, it was over a window of the Super Bowl. And essentially then during launch, the campaign went live, curated brand experience then was essentially made available, and then the messaging goes to the Nest and then gets released and then delivered to your door. So you can start to see, and like I said, you know, we must as innovators think on a system basis, right? System thinking is such a strong element of how we can create these curated, beautiful, immersive experiences, and that's where, in this example, you're seeing two ends of the scale.
It's not just a fast delivery, right? It's a whole experience.
It's an experience, yeah, absolutely.
Now, we are all familiar with Gen AI, talking with ChatGPT and everything, but when we are going to use it in our business, when we're going to use it for our brand, we don't want the answers to be just bland, right? They need to be according to your brand-approved content. They need to be according to your compliance. They need to keep the voice of the brand and all of these characteristics that makes your AI agent unique and make it be able to represent your brand and really build relationships. Otherwise, they're just generic AI. And we don't build relationships with generic AI. They need to have something compelling. So we started developing such agents like with Chester, but also with many other retailers and franchisees. And what we're doing is making sure that each agent really represents the brand, is connected to all the systems that that brand or company needs for the agent to interact. It's connected with all the compliance and knowledge bases and things that your agent needs to perform. And what is great about them is that they can be deployed anywhere. So we're focused on building multi-channel agents. They started actually inside the virtual world. We did together with Dentsu. And so you could be fully immersed. And then we started bringing it to the real world. First with WhatsApp, after with your own website. And now we're growing more and more towards the physicality, or we say the agent embodiment, right? Which I think will be the next big trend. Like we'll be talking with our agents on speakers, on displays, and very soon on real robots by produced robots and so on. So agents will be everywhere humans are, and they need to be able to consistently recognize the customer wherever the customer is. So if you're talking via WhatsApp with your customer and then your customer joins your website or goes into your retail environment, that customer needs to be recognized and that conversation needs to flow seamless in all of these channels. So omni-channel, super important, and agents capable of building these relationships and tracking these relationships across every channel. And that's, you see, I showed some examples that we already did. And here you can see Yara, which is our agent that helps us on every day. Actually, here in the US, her name is Emma Green. So we have a little short video that shows how these agents are able to understand the business, represent the business, make decisions, and interact with the team.
Hello, I am Emma. I am an AI agent trained to talk to customers via multiple channels. Awesome, a new customer. He wants to talk to me via WhatsApp. Meeting booked. Customer on board. Now, I will send an email to Carol saying we have a new customer. Email sent. Perfect service. Visit Headoffice.ai and talk to me.
It's being everywhere we are and making sure that they can interact like team members do and understand when to send an email to a colleague, when to take actions, and it's super easy to build. We show, you can go to the next one. And here we're showing the partnership that we did with Dentsu and Pepsico, where we brought to life Chester, right? Making sure it was within public domain content that would respect the brand. And you see that it's very easy to train. You just have first you just answer 3 questions and then it will automatically populate this form for you, and then you just scroll down and you answer these questions, you improve, and you connect the channels, scan, and in a few minutes you're able to build your AI agent from scratch and connect it anywhere. So the goal, as agents evolve, the idea is to make it simpler every time to build your agent, so that always the next agent you build will be easier than the previous one, and they learn together and they also interconnect with one another. So if we had Chester and then we had another friend of Chester, they could both interact,
Very
connect.
quicker.
Right. Coming soon.
But again, what's really great about your platform, and where, Chester's a great example, but it is very easy to use. So you can create your own knowledge base with whatever brand approved public domain content that you want. And I mean, Phil, if you want to share, I know that was really important for...
Yeah, it was very important for us as a business, the subject of AI, we have very tight restrictions and legal requirements, and so as a result then just repurposing content that's already out there is certainly a super interesting way to actually create that authentic conversation that we talked about earlier. So, and it also then allows us then to again use them assets to best effect that we've invested in over many years, right? So whether it be YouTube content or whether it be recipes on our website. So yeah, I think that cohesiveness is super interesting.
That's great. Yeah, and the other thing we've really enjoyed, Marco touched on WhatsApp and web-based experiences. So for us, we've been able to do really quick prototypes, mainly like web-based experiences, but showing how you can extend your media in a one-to-one way. So if you're buying media at a digital out-of-home space or at a bus stop or on any kind of publication or even leveraging your emails, being able to have that one-to-one experience. Now we'll kind of dive into platforms and partnerships. I wanted to share this one with the group here. We really focus on collaborate to accelerate when innovating and creating these new experiences. So we have Jason here, and one of the things we've been excited about is Dentsu and Meta have teamed up to create the Global Meta Messaging Alliance. And really what that means is we're able to give our clients and the brands that we work with early access to those alpha and betas on Meta's messaging platforms before anybody else. So that way, if you are an innovative brand, you do want to explore the space, then we're able to do that through our partnership. I don't know if you want to share.
Yeah, I think the partnership is very key across this whole discussion. And so for folks who are thinking about, how do we do this? How do we bring this to life? We believe very much in the power of partnerships between agencies, technology partners, and to what Phil was saying about systems thinking and what you were highlighting, Marco, about this sort of end-to-end customer experience. The places where we've seen this kind of stuff fall down is when you haven't taken that approach, because these kinds of experiences are going to involve customer care and your website team and your social team and your e-commerce team and the retail team, and so it's really important to make sure all those stakeholders are involved and we have people who can sort of talk to them.
And also at Dentsu, we have phenomenal technology partners, right? We're so fortunate to have great partnerships like with Meta, Microsoft, Google, Adobe, Amazon, and more, to where we can really, it's not about a specific technology, but having those partners and creating those experiences with the platforms our clients are already know and love and are familiar with, and that can fit and work within their infrastructure. And then kind of lastly here, this is our Dentsu Innovation Initiative. And this is born out of our team in Japan and is global. But the Dentsu Innovation Initiative is all about looking into the next 3 to 5 years into the future and really partnering with the startups now to help start that growth. And Marco and Head Office are actually one of our latest members. And so I'll play a quick video that kind of highlights our Dentsu Innovation Initiative and DII team.
Meet the Dentsu Innovation Initiative, or DII, a unique division of Dentsu Group. Our mission is to create and future-proof business offerings in the face of accelerated change. At DII, we're responsible for global innovation, scouting of new and disruptive technologies. We develop key partnerships with selected startups offering market-leading, differentiated products and solutions. We strengthen these relationships with strategic investments to build a solid foundation for future business growth and collaboration. As a global R&D arm, DII focuses on creating a future-proof business model, looking 3 to 5 years ahead. Our areas of focus include MarTech, Web3, spatial media, and immersive social platforms. DII provides additional value across the Dentsu Group to help accelerate innovation for the world's most beloved brands. Not only do we invest in startups through our corporate venture capital arm, Dentsu Ventures, we also build strategic partnerships with leading disruptive technologies worldwide. What makes us unique? A 3 to 5 year perspective on emerging technologies, $200 million in corporate venture capital funds with Dentsu Ventures, and over 50 MarTech strategic partners and startups invested. What does it mean for brands? Enhanced customer loyalty. 70% of consumers prefer brands known for innovation. Competitive edge. 3 times more likely to outperform competitors. Revenue growth. Organizations that innovate grow revenue 4 times faster. Let's explore the future of disruptive technologies and innovation together. Leading innovators? Contact us today.
So if you are an up-and-coming startup, you're focused on any of those areas, like please reach out. Marco, Meta, PepsiCo are examples of that model. Great, and so with that, Phil would love to know your perspective on this partnership in general.
Yeah, I think, look, we talked a little bit about, tackling the problem to solve, and bringing an outside-in perspective, bringing them relevant partnerships, identifying competency gaps that you may have. But for me, I want to emphasize the message of one team. I think we need to look internally in order to align, yes, we're a very big, large organization, but if there is no kind of cohesive bridge building and bridges built within a department level, then there's a miss, right? So because otherwise something gets created over here without any visibility over here. So I think that idea of one team and one cross-functional unit working in harmony is super, super important. And that really has helped us to identify maybe them lacks of competencies and partnerships that we may want to go and seek and get. So that involves working with Pep Ventures, Pep Labs, separate parts of the business. So again, it's not just marketing, design, engineering, and so forth. So that would be my kind of my advice.
Cool. And then Marco, from your experience.
We can't do anything without partners, right? Especially when we are a platform that connects multiple channels like meta channels and robots and everything. And as a startup, especially working with Dentsu, working with large organizations is very hard because you have to put multiple teams and multiple people together. A case is, I've known for so long and we couldn't do it together. We had to have Dentsu together because there's so many people to coordinate, so many different teams, so many different necessities. And when we talk about agents, it changes completely your workflow. Right? If you are implementing an agent in your organization, we think at first that you're just going to put it in a part of your process, of your workflow, and that's going to work the same way as it does now. But as you start implementing agents in your workflow, you see that it will change completely. And you will need to negotiate with pretty much every part of your organization, just because how they interact in the background and how they can interconnect with multiple departments. So you have to have multiple departments involved. So having partners that understand that process, that understand that implementation is really good. And having such a partner like Dentsu, it gives us room to grow because, a large organization can kill a startup in the beginning. So, because they require so much of your time, and sometimes projects just, doesn't go live. And if you are a startup and invest so much time in those big organizations, you can be left out with nothing as they change priorities and things like that. So working with Dentsu allowed us to work with multiple large organizations without the need for us to do all of that process and onboarding. They're able to do that for us, and we can focus on what we do best, which is technology and the platform.
Yeah, it's a good point what you said, Marco, just kind of talking about where we've seen with intelligent messaging in different parts of the organization, right? So everybody's really excited about, this notion of, oh, it can help my customer support team. Oh, it can help train our employees. It can help, create those one-to-one experiences with consumers. And a lot of folks don't know where to start. And so that's where, through our collaboration and partnership, we're able to work with a brand and kind of dive in and say, okay, we don't have to do everything at once. Let's just focus on this test and learn. And so what we did with Chester is a great example of that. And as Phil said, there's numerous experiments going on. And then Jason, anything else you'd like to add from?
No, what I said before about just, again, thinking holistically and, making sure that you're contacting and working with stakeholders across the organization. Again, this is where we've seen those kinds of things fail or not get the desired outcome. So, yeah, communicate as, quickly and a lot.
And then I know we're getting close to the end here, but hey, we're at South by. It's all about creativity, connection, tech. So of course, we have to talk about the future. And would love for each of you just to share a little bit about where you see kind of the future of XR, AI, agents, consumer experience, workflows, etc. So Phil, do you want to?
Yeah, I can kick us off. For me, this ubiquitous overlay of our world and digital is here. It's not coming, it's here. And then just observation of physical kind of embodiment of AI within physical forms. Again, reflecting on some experiences at CES and some demos there. So this idea of someone in the home who's going to help. Whether it be in robot form or so forth. That's just coming like a freight train, right? So I know, Marco, you've been heavily involved in some things like that. And whether that be represented in a head, a robotic arm, or a full embodiment, then there's certain tasks that are going to be certainly kind of handled by that investment, in the home, as well as investment in enterprise and industry. So.
Well, and it's really interesting what you said about, robotics and food. So I don't know if any of you all had a chance to check out the South by Innovation Award Showcase yesterday, the finalists. But one of the finalists is Pasha, and it's actually a robot that you can put, on your counter. It has over 500 recipes. You just sort of load it up with the ingredients, select, go, and it will cook, your meal without anybody there. You can go do your task, watch your show, go for a run. 30 minutes though, make sure you're back in time. But it'll do that. And so, I think we're seeing that now, that product, for example, is out now, so we're seeing more of those things. Also, just in the beauty space, another sort of South by finalist had a lipstick sort of robot for people with disabilities. It was Bovacario and Caesar Interactive Hub collabed on that. And it's just a great way where you're leveraging computer vision to sort of scan your face. It puts the lipstick on for you through AI, and just a great way to have more accessible experiences for people. And I think we're going to see, that more, not only anticipating needs for everyday customers, but also, people with disabilities to help assist their everyday lives as well.
Yeah, I'll go. I would just consider thinking about sort of the future in terms of 3 time horizons. So sort of near, upcoming, and sort of, next. And so right now I would say think about how you can implement AI in your business to improve workflows, to get to better creative faster, to automate a lot of your processes, whether that's media buying or procurement. I think in the near future, definitely a focus on agentic AI and understanding how agents can transform your business. And then for the next, I think going back to this idea of blurring between the physical and digital worlds and really living in a place where, you know, you can interact and be present, but also have the digital world right at your fingertips?
Well, it's hard to say anything on top of this, but I think the key that will unlock all of this future is being able to build empathy from machines. So I think that's the number one focus, especially that we have right now, because the more we teach machines to understand us, the more they can come up with solutions and create opportunities on top of that. So we are leading the future of AI, but pretty soon AI will lead the future of AI for us and will teach us, okay, where we can go. So right now we have to always, when we're building an AI agent, we have to know exactly what we want that agent to perform. The next phase, we're just going to tell our problem, and the AI will teach us what we can do to solve it with it. So empathy is the key moving forward. The more the machine understands us, the more they will be valuable to us, and the more they will be able to grow.
Yeah, I think that's great. And the other thing that reminded me of, Marco, is just really also where we can have shortcuts, right? And so where we can be more efficient and more sustainable. We know we need to look after this rock we're all sitting on it right now. And I think, you know, Phil's example of your experiment that you guys did with Wing, you touched on that. That was part of it, right?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to decarbonize the value chain, right? So, and that's a big part of our collective responsibility, right? So, in no matter what part of product, brand experience, or industry that we're involved in. So, yeah, that was certainly kind of a key beat for us to really learn and understand and unpack.
And the other part I'm really excited that's sort of happening now, but I think we're going to start seeing it more and more commonplace, you know, are the interfaces, right? So more of the glasses. I think we're going to see more kind of like just gesture-based and holographic experiences happening in retail. Again, touting the phenomenal finalist at the South by Southwest Innovation Awards, but Hagen was there, and they have an experience. They teamed up with Proto and have the sort of boxes in various sizes, and really to help assist, you know, in those retail experiences, or you could be in an airport. Again, really helping assist those experiences. And we're almost at time. I have one sort of bonus question for everybody here is like, what advice would you guys give brands or businesses, both big and small? Because Jason, you kind of touched on the not only large brands and businesses, but also small businesses. So what advice do you guys have?
In my case, I think don't be afraid, don't be scared. Like, companies, start experimenting. It is easier than you think, and you know, it's ready. You don't need to, it's not the future, it's now. So start small, go in, try, and don't be afraid, because it's really the future. And every company we worked with, they have achieved a better outcome than they expected from the beginning. So, and this has only been possible pretty much in the past 4 months, 5 months, that AI really became stable. So now, really, the results are fascinating, and I welcome you all to take a look.
I would say, in addition to our building on that, it's, you know, think about the way that you're innovating sort of through two lenses. One could be like, how are we improving things that exist today? Like, how are we taking current use cases or workflows and making them faster, better, more efficient? So if you have like a train, like, how are we making this train faster? But then also have a team where people are thinking about, well, what is a different mode of transportation? Like, who's building an airplane, or who's building a different way of getting to the next destination? And so I think some organizations either do one or the other. I think you need to be sort of rooted in the present because you're going to have a CFO and people who you need to answer to in order to demonstrate results. But if you're also not thinking about coming up with new ways of doing things, you may miss out on big opportunities.
I can reinforce that as well. And maybe a slight build as well is that identifying the right problem to solve is the key to anything, right? And then the unlock is through fueling it with the right data to get to solution fit, but build, test, learn, build, test, learn, build, test, learn, continual loops of build, test, learn. Yes, as an industrial designer, it's very easy for me to talk about that, but that experimentation allows things to evolve, it allows to get feedback quickly, and it allows something to resonate extremely strongly at the end, at the final output. So that would be some really base guidance. And then I think, look, it's an exciting world that we're living in right now. There's a lot of tensions in our world as well, and there's a lot of ambition to course correct and resolve and make things of relevance which can enhance humanity in our lives, right? So be ambitious, go big. That's my kind of call to action.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Where we've had a lot of success working with brands like both, small, nimble brands, to some of the largest brands in the world, is really applying a now, near, next approach. So kind of building on what everyone here said. So now it's like, what is the problem we're solving now? What is the quick win that we can do to bring, the key stakeholders along? What does the near look like? There's nothing worse than doing kind of a one-off prototype and not go anywhere. So being really clear about like, okay, we're going to do this now. This is what we expect. The near is going to, based on those learnings, this is what that could look like. And then the next, ultimately where we want to go. And so when we're talking to those key stakeholders, it helps get everybody aligned from the get-go and then having those check-ins and the test and learns along the way. So we are almost at time, but really wanted to thank everybody here for joining us today. We'll be available around for any questions. So have a fantastic South by, and thanks for joining us.